the bugs out, but apparently the bug for people calling in and being put on the air hasn't been taken care of. I had a few little minor mishaps as I got started on the air. Basically, right now we're broadcasting on Spreaker Radio Network, Blog Talk Radio Network, MyCast Live Radio Network, countless terrestrial stations worldwide. I'm also broadcasting today on Roar 1776, the radio network, and I do that every Friday from 4 to 6. And we're now broadcasting, and everything's available on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube. And in 2 weeks, it'll be available on iHeartRadio.
Oh, wow.
So if I could, that is if they don't throw me off the damn air because of this mess here today. But I think they suspect the first time out of the box with all this new equipment to be a little weird.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's very nice.
Yeah, and then oh, you know what? I automatically pick up, just with Roar, just them alone, I'll pick up 100,000 listeners. Because they're a small station that goes out, pretty well. They're really just kind of getting started, and so it's on the ground floor with them. So I pick up 100,000 listeners with them, but there'll be just unbelievable countless people picking it up. I noticed today that there was another station I never heard of before, and I can't pop into it because I don't know how the hell I found it, that is actually picking up this thing that, although I've got a lot of stations I never heard of before. Yeah. You know what? It's not all that bad because I had most of it. It was just a conversion and loading in some software, and so I've got a few $100 involved in it. But I had to buy some cables, and I had to buy some broadcasting software and stuff like that, which is what I'm having the problem with here. And then I have to figure out a way that. I've got to see if there's a way that we can talk like we did before while the commercials are running, and but right now we can't do that. Like I've got my mic because it's so Mickey Mouse. I got my mic turned off so I can talk to you on the phone. But we're going to be back in 19 seconds, David. So stay with me. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:18 p.m. Pacific time. It's 73 degrees. It's getting cooler. It's getting more comfortable on its way to 51. We're talking to our own David Garrett on the law, and we're talking about not only some weird laws that have taken place that are no longer active, but we're going to be talking about this. We've been talking about this young man in South Carolina. So, David, you're on the mic. You know how horrible that sounds? I suppose that father collected some money for his son that we shot as he went over the fence.
Yeah, it does. It probably illustrates the apparent inequity. I don't know if it's inequity. It's the inadequacy of the law to remedy a situation.
Yeah.
You can't bring the child back to life. And the only thing the law allows is a recovery of money
I mean, well, especially, if you think about this young man, he's 50 years old. He wasn't running. He was hardly able to hop because of the electrical current that had been shot through him. Anybody could have caught up with him, including that police officer. He could have been overcome easily. But when you think about that whole circumstances, I looked at that video, and there's a police officer like he's in a gun shooting range taking target practice. He just takes his old sweet time, pulls out his gun, and shoots off 8 shots. And thought nothing of it. He didn't rush over to the guy, do anything like that. He just very slowly walked over and handcuffed this guy as he was dying. And then very nonchalantly walks and then runs back to his taser or whatever it was, picks it up, goes back, drops it by the body to start making his excuses. I mean, here's a guy that doesn't deserve any kind of leniency as far as I'm concerned at all. He not only killed an innocent man, but he has ruined the reputation of that entire police department.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what to say about that. And trying to cover the whole thing up. And when I heard that it was Mr. Scott initially started jumping out of his car and running because he thought he was wanting on a child support warrant or something.
Yeah, he was 4 months behind in his child support.
Yeah, and there wasn't even a warrant out there for it.
Just how horrible is this,
Yeah, and this, I got to say, in this particular case, I like the very prompt response of the superiors of that officer.
Well, you gotta, when they recognized that they were being lied to, when they had this video in front of them, they took immediate action, and they need to be, applauded for that.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Less than an hour after seeing it.
Yeah.
He was being charged with murder and incarcerated.
Yeah. And that's the way it should have been.
It is. It's exactly what it should have been. There is nothing good that's going to come out of that of those events with Mr. Scott.
No.
I mean, the officer had, I think his wife 8 months pregnant. And then on the other side, the family's lost a child, or a father, I should say.
It just keeps getting worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, just goes downhill, all because of I don't know how you characterize that shooting. It's just callousness, or what it is. I talked to a couple of officers after that, after seeing the video, and they were just all absolutely shocked. And we kind of got into how does something like this happen. They thought there was some sort of mental instability on behalf of the officer that did the shooting, whether it was, before he became an officer or as a result of job exposure.
Yeah.
And I admit that the officers have a very tough job. They're dealing with a lot of nonsense that I wouldn't have to deal with, at least in the setting that they are.
Well, don't get me wrong, because I am pro police officer. I mean, the last thing I want to do is be in trouble and have to call a congressman. The police are really out there to help you, and the majority of them are exactly that. They're dedicated officers that want to protect and serve. There are those few bad eggs that I don't know what the heck happened. Psychologically, I think if all they ever see is the very worst that society has to offer, then they begin to think that every human being is that way, and they start taking the law into their own hands, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah. And the thing that was surprising to me in discussing this with some of these officers was there isn't a safeguard out there that that really is able to discern when somebody's hitting that tipping point.
Yeah. Hey, so listen, give out your contact information. We got 15 seconds for a commercial, and then we'll be back.
Okay, the number is 909-945-5000, and the website www.lawpbt.com.
And we'll be right back with our own David Garrett on the law right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Okay, that's it's actually recording. It's going good, but it's just not the right way. And I'm going to be so pissed off when I find out there's probably just one button I didn't hit. You know? Yeah, that's just going to drive me bananas. You know what? The guy that helped me put this together is John Matthews. He's got all this same equipment and everything, and he's got another fellow named Mark Christian. And we put it together. We tested it. It all supposedly worked. And then, of course, today I was loading up all the sound effects and all of those kinds of things. And I went to test them, and nothing worked. And then all of a sudden it did work. I don't know what the hell. I think this thing is very temperamental. For some reason, you got to do it in exactly the precise sequence, or everything gets screwed up. But there's parts of this that I like better than the other. The other board was quite simple to run. This board is very technically advanced, I should say. It's got all kinds of stuff in it, but it'll work great once I get comfortable with it. Yeah. And so, I mean, there's just little nuances, little things that I'm just not accustomed to, and I'm sure I'll work my way through it. But I mean, some of the way the cues are and some of the other stuff is actually pretty cool. And the fact that we can actually broadcast to numerous stations and sites simultaneously, that's wonderful. Because in the past, what I've had to do was I would have to send out those sites the recordings of the show that I would do. Because they couldn't unless they could get into Block Talk, they couldn't actually download them. Now they can have it live, or they can record it and play it at their leisure anytime they want.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Wow. This technology stuff's pretty amazing anymore.
Oh yeah. So let's see. This thing looks to me like I haven't got a damn clue. I think I've got about 70 seconds. What I'm going to do is, until I get used to this, I'm not going to take the chance. I'm going to go ahead and put the headsets on and get ready for it. So I'll be silent. You'll know when you're on, David.
Okay.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own David Garrett on the law. David, you've got the microphone.
Yeah.